A while ago, I was reading this book, The Incandescent by Emily Tesh. It's a book about a magical school in England. So you know what to expect. Many of you have probably read 1 to 7 books about a magical school in England. This book has 3 differences, though, that are important differences. The first is that the author is not a terrible transphobe, as far as I'm aware. The second is that it treats the magical school like a real school. So they teach math and literature. And because it's a school in England, the students are worried about their GCSEs or GSCEs, whichever one it is, and their A-levels. And this is the thing that makes it really unique and special and good. It's told from the perspective of the administrator of the school. So it starts with some students getting in over their heads, and then it moves to some adults getting in over their heads. As much as it is about the incandescence of adolescence, it is also about how we who are grown up, we who have experience under our belts, we who have years of knowledge carefully collected and curated, do not in fact always know what we are doing. And that can lead us down dark and dangerous paths. And we do in fact rely on each other. And sometimes, every so often, sometimes more often than we would like to think, we rely on those who have less experience, but more knowledge of the world as it in fact is right now. So now that I've sold you on this book, there's a reason that I'm selling you on this book, and that's because when I was reading it, I was telling people about it. I recommended it to a couple of people in this congregation. I definitely recommended it to my geeky, nerdy friends who are into this sort of thing. I was telling people, hey, I'm reading this novel, and it's been a while since I've read a novel, and it's a really good novel, and I think you would like it. I think you should read it. I think you should try it. And I'll be honest, I have no idea how many people did. I don't know if anybody bought and read that book because of me, but because I liked it, because it was giving me something, because I wanted to read it, because it was handing me just a little bit of life, because it was showing me just a little bit of a way, I was telling people about it. We have been in this sermon series on burnout, and we're wrapping up this sermon series on burnout before we head into the season of Lent, a season that can definitely burn some people out. And we've talked about where burnout comes from. That overwhelm that comes when the have-tos of life, the things that we at least think we have to do, the things that we at least think we are supposed to do, overwhelm and overshadow the things that we want to do. When the things that devour us, that consume us, that eat us up, overpower and overshadow the things that feed us. And we've talked about how getting out from under that means listening for God's call. About how God has a mission for each and every one of us. About how God brings those missions together in a church that has a mission, in a congregation that has a mission, yes, but in this broader church, this worldwide thing, this movement of folks who follow Jesus, that has a mission that is doing a thing. And we've talked about how God, in fact, equips every one of us for our bit, and about how we are not alone, how none of us have to do everything, because we are in a congregation, because we are in a church, because we are in a movement where we are all bringing our gifts together to nurture God's reign of love all around us. But it doesn't stop there. One of the challenges is sharing things. It is hard. It is hard to tell people about church. It is hard to tell people about the good news. It is hard to tell people about the gospel. It is hard to tell people about Jesus. It is hard to tell people about God. It is hard to tell people about love. I know that it is hard. I am a pastor. When I meet new people, I do not tell them what I do. Because if I do that, there are going to be questions. And if I do that, there are going to be assumptions. And I will spend a lot of time explaining, no, not that kind of pastor, not that kind of church, not what you're expecting, not just another book about a magical school in England, but something different. Something that is happening, something that is moving under the waters of the powers of sin and death and everything that makes life less, something that is nurturing God's reign of love around us, something that is changing the world bit by bit by little bit, until, in fact, it is changed. It is hard to do that. And it is especially hard to do that when we find ourselves being what we expect, doing the things we think we are supposed to do, catering to the have-tos, walking towards the bits that consume us, just keeping an institution going. It is hard to do that when we ourselves are not excited, when we ourselves are not on fire, when we ourselves are not lit up and ready to go. It is hard to do that with a book that you have been assigned in class that you do not care about. It is hard to do that with a church that you feel like you're supposed to go to, and that you feel like is supposed to look this way, and you feel like is supposed to do these things. But it's not really what you're excited about on a Sunday morning. Here's the thing. Here is the thing that is so important, that is so critical, that is so crucial, that is how we get lit on fire. Because when we're excited about a book, we can share the book. When we are excited about a movie or a TV show, we can share the movie or the TV show. When we are excited about the food at the new restaurant, we can share the new restaurant. When we are excited, when we are fired up, when we are ready to go, it is impossible to hold it in. That is what Jesus is telling his disciples in our reading today. You are the light of the world. You guys. You fishermen from Galilee. You folks on the low end of the socioeconomic spectrum. You folks who nobody has really given a second thought to, you are the light of the world because you have encountered Jesus, because you have learned from Christ, because you have met the God who is love, who comes into the world as one of us. You've met that person. You are lit up. The fire of God is burning inside of you. You are not going to put that under a bushel, because no one puts that under a bushel. No one with a fire that can warm every heart in the world takes a trash can and hides it. When you have that fire, when you have that light, when you have that thing going, you put it on a lampstand. You show everyone, because how can you keep that inside? How can you keep that to yourselves? How can you just walk around with that fire, with that spirit, with that love around you, among you, within you, and not share it with everyone who you meet? How can you not be like a giddy teenager in love for the first time? How can you not be like a slightly less giddy adult who has found the one? How can you not be so excited that it shines on your face, that it shows in your life, that everybody is asking, what is going on with you? And how can you not respond? Let me tell you about this Jesus guy. Let me tell you about this God who is love. Let me tell you what they have done for me. Let me tell you what they are doing for you. Let me tell you what the world could be. Let me tell you about this reign of love that is blossoming around us, that you too can be a part of. Because there is plenty of room at this table. There is a seat right next to me. Come, join in. This is, I think, part of our challenge. This is, I think, part of our difficulty. This is, I think, part of when I hear that members of this congregation are burnt out where we are. We can keep trying to light the fire of the world within us. We can keep letting ourselves be consumed by the way things are supposed to be. We can keep letting ourselves be turned to ash by the have-tos. We can keep letting ourselves just smolder a bit because all of the light that we have inside of us is the things we feel like we are supposed to do, the expectations that we have, this idea of what the church-shaped object should look like. We can do that. It feels safe to do that. It feels okay. I can just sit here and smoke a bit. Every so often an ember will light up a bit. And I will go out in my time, peacefully and quietly blending into the dirt. That is certainly safer, it seems, than the alternative. Because the alternative is letting go of the expectations. The alternative is letting go of the supposed tos. The alternative is letting go of the things that I think that I have to do and rushing headlong into God's call on my life. Running headlong into God's call on our lives. Running headlong into that mission that God has for us, that nurturing of God's reign of love that God is calling us to. The alternative is actually being on fire. And being on fire is scary. Being on fire is terrifying. Being on fire means relying on God to keep me going, to keep me burning, to not let me be consumed, but to keep me alive, to make me more alive, to keep me going. I can let go of all the stuff that I have been carrying. I can give up my fear itself. I can step into new life. I can step into a soul that is on fire for the God who is love. I can do these things. It is scary. I can do them. We can do these things. It is scary. We can do them. And when we do them, when we step into that, when we give up the way that we think things are supposed to be and run headlong into where God is calling us to go, we will not be able to contain it. It will be too much to hide. It will be impossible to put it under a bushel. It will be impossible to put a trash can over it. It will be impossible to hide. We will have to put it on a lampstand. Our very faces will shine with it. Our very lives will be full of it. People will ask, what is going on with you guys? What is happening with that church across the street from the school? What is going on with you? Do you go there? Do you show up on a Sunday morning? Do you sing together? Do you pray together? Are you hearing a call from God? Are you following a call from God? Because I'm noticing something. I'm noticing that you love a lot. It's kind of wigging me out. I'm a little scared. How do I get some of that? This is the thing. This is the thing. This might be the whole of the thing. As long as we hold on to the book about a magical school in England that has already been written, that has already been made into movies, that is being made into a television show, that is being told again and again the same way every time, that wasn't that good to start with. As long as we hold on to that version of ourselves, we will just be sitting on the ground, smoking away until we burn out. It is when we reach for the thing that is new, the new song that God is singing, the new word that God is saying, the new life that God is offering in every moment of every day. It is when we grab onto that we find ourselves not burning embers, but bright fires. And there is a saying that is usually said with some derision, said as a warning, but might just be a blessing. Because when you are on fire for what God is calling us to, people will come from miles to watch. People will come from tens of miles, from hundreds of miles to feel that heat. People will come from everywhere to get a bit of that fire, a bit of that love for themselves, so that they too can be a part of the new thing that God is doing.